Thank you. As a young lawyer, I always hoped that I might appear here at the Supreme Court of Canada. But never did I imagine that I would be here today as the Minister of Justice and Attorney General for Newfoundland and Labrador and be recognizing our province's first justice to be named to this bench. Madam Chief Justice, Honourable Justices, Minister Wilson-Raybould, members of the Canadian legal community, Justice Rowe and your family, and to the many Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that are watching right now at home, although it seems like there's quite a few of us in this room too. It is an honour and a privilege for me to be here today with you, and to say it's a proud day would be an understatement of great magnitude. First of all, I'd like to thank Justice Rowe for his many years as a public servant and as a jurist in Newfoundland and Labrador. And further, I'd like to commend him for all of his hard work in becoming the eminently qualified justice that we are celebrating today. This is a reflection on Justice Rowe as an incredible individual, along with the entire legal community of Newfoundland and Labrador. Now, no doubt most of you may be familiar with the image of Newfoundland and Labrador as a province of hard-working fish harvesters who earn their living from the sea. And in fact, Justice Rowe's family comes from a small island off the north coast of Newfoundland known as Fogo Island. Now, although the fishing industry has played a significant role in our history, there is a misconception that everyone in Newfoundland and Labrador fishes for a living, that we walk around in sou'westers and having our cod for supper every night. However, the picture shared across the country of Justice Rowe upon his appointment, of him looking casual and quite relaxed in a boat on the water, certainly didn't do anything to squash that stereotype. During the course of Justice Rowe's career, he's been involved in many key matters. As the Chief Justice noted, the maritime boundaries and the exploitation of our Grand Banks, the negotiation of a new United Nations Convention on the High Seas Fisheries, and our litigation for Canada in regards to the seminal fisheries case with Spain before the International Court of Justice, although I would be remiss if I didn't note that there may be someone else in this room that played a small role in that. This last matter was particularly sensitive, and it was a complex issue, and Justice Rowe formulated the strategy that ultimately led to success for our province and for Canada as a whole. Denominational education was a very contentious topic in our history. Justice Rowe was Clerk of the Executive Council at the time, and he faced the unenviable task of trying to balance the collective good, to put quality education ahead of religious differences during difficult economic times. He coordinated the efforts to achieve the constitutional amendment necessary to create the non-denominational education system that we still have today. Now, he and government as a whole faced criticism at the time, but he did what was necessary, not what was easy. Indeed, this is an example of Justice Rowe's ability to have a measured approach to difficult decisions. All of these roles and his accomplishments in each have consistent threads running throughout: fairness, balance, resolve, the importance of sending a larger positive message, and one of inclusiveness to those who may feel marginalized. As one former public servant expressed recently, he believes Justice Rowe will be a champion for all minorities who seek to be recognized as good Canadians, because he understands that harnessing positive energy is how you build a nation, and this, I believe, is a valuable asset to the Supreme Court of Canada. The Government of Newfoundland and Labrador was receptive to the new process announced by Prime Minister Trudeau for appointing Supreme Court of Canada justices. It reflects our own value for openness, transparency and accountability. Now, I've always contended that our province has eminently qualified jurists, and we felt confident that this new approach would serve our province well, and in so doing, our region and our country. The process at the end of the day confirmed regional representation, a reflection of the beliefs of all Atlantic Canadians and what is true and fundamentally right. Now, there was much debate about whether or not our province could put forward a judge who could speak in both official languages, and this was discouraging, but we knew that it would not be an issue. The first documented French presence in our province dates back to 1504, and in 2004, many communities in our province celebrated 500 years of French presence. There's been a 35% increase in our francophone community just over the last decade. Nous avons toujours appuyé l'idée du Canada.
There has always been support of a bilingual court.
We have always embraced the notion of Canada as a bilingual country, and Justice Rowe will be a role model to our youth. The appointment of Justice Rowe also serves as a symbol of our province's place in Canada. For the first time, a Newfoundland and Labrador perspective sits at the Supreme Court of Canada. And it seems Justice Rowe has always stood out amongst equals, and his most recent accomplishment, which we celebrate today, is indeed history in the making. Since 1875, 6 Atlantic Canadian appointments to this court have been from New Brunswick, 5 from Nova Scotia, and PEI's had 1, Sir Lewis Henry Davies. He was appointed in 1901 and later went on to become the Chief Justice. Now, you may be asking, why is this guy giving a history lesson? Well, consider for a moment who was Prime Minister at that time. It was Sir Wilfrid Laurier. He's gone down in history as being known as the Great Conciliator. He's been quoted as saying, "I have had before me as a pillar of fire a policy of true Canadianism, of moderation, of reconciliation." And here we are today with Prime Minister Trudeau earning a reputation for those very same qualities. It occurred to me that the decision faced by our Prime Minister, along with Minister Wilson-Raybould, is strikingly similar to the one that Sir Wilfrid faced over a century ago. At the time of Davies' appointment, the 4 prior Atlantic Canadian appointments to the Supreme Court consisted of 2 from New Brunswick and 2 from Nova Scotia. Prior to Justice Rowe's appointment, 4 prior Atlantic appointees were also 2 from New Brunswick and 2 from Nova Scotia. So one can wonder whether Prime Minister Laurier, in appointing a judge from PEI in 1901, recognized the need for diversity on the bench, along with the benefit of including all provinces in this important institution of our nation. Of course, a similar scenario has faced Prime Minister after Prime Minister since we joined Confederation in 1949. And just as Laurier and Trudeau share qualities such as a penchant for conciliation, for sunny ways, for positivity rather than negativity, I find it very fitting that it is the Trudeau government that has followed suit in a historic selection from a province where no Supreme Court judge has come from before. Now, this, of course, is more than likely just a very happy coincidence. The true reason we are standing here today is because Justice Rowe is the best person for the job. He is a sharp mind with a wealth of experience. Evidence of this vast experience and his extensive understanding of this court was found in his application, and I was very struck by his remarks on what it means to be a judge in a constitutional democracy. In it, he stated, for example, the Supreme Court is not primarily a court of correction. Rather, the role of the court is to make definitive statements of the law, which are then applied by trial judges and courts of appeal. The Supreme Court judges ordinarily make law, rather than simply applying it. Now, first, I will commend Justice Rowe for his courage in saying such things. It is an undeniable fact that our Supreme Court of Canada sometimes delves into policy, and I think this is a testament to how crucial this court is. The fact that Justice Rowe explicitly recognizes this and did so in a context where it had significant personal consequences is a testament to the man. It is a controversial issue. Some might say that it's inappropriate for a court to make law. But to those people, I would say, where would this country be with matters such as same-sex marriage, abortion, physician-assisted dying without our Supreme Court of Canada? Whereas politicians may be susceptible to partisan winds and political influences, the justices of the Supreme Court of Canada cannot be. And while it's preferable that the legislative branch take these issues by the horns, the reality is that it's often left in the hands of the judiciary. It is essential that we have a Supreme Court comprised of capable, steady hands, and I know Justice Rowe will fit in very well with his new colleagues in that regard. This story is only just beginning, and I know Justice Rowe will go down in history as making Canadians proud. He certainly made Newfoundlanders and Labradorians proud as we cheered him on when he performed so well in the question and answer sessions. And his forthcoming decisions will help form the fabric of what we know as Canada. For that, we all benefit. As Attorney General for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador, I certainly never thought I would ever say, I am proud that Justice Rowe is no longer ours. Yet here I stand, and I am extremely proud, and I'm elated to say that Justice Rowe is now all of ours. And as a nation, we are all better off for it. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and congratulations, Justice Rowe. Thank you.